Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. March 25th, 2017. I have some information that I want to go over with you. Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. Oh, momentary lapse. Hold on there. We have some audio problems, but we're back anyways. So, I just received another report from our physicist, and some of this information to me was quite startling, even though I've seen so much in my Planet X investigations over the course of the last several years. And I've always thought that, yes, there just has to be other objects in space that are man-made, things that are not supposed to be there naturally. So I raised the question, and we started looking into what was going on, and we're viewing some of these Secchi images. And Venus keeps coming into play. Venus, Venus, Venus. Why is Venus so bright? Why is Venus producing lens flares? Why? All of these constant questions keep popping up. So we started looking into this. And before I get into that, I want to express one thing. The lady who is helping us is a professional physicist, more than 17 years of lectures and teaching, working for a major university. So we're not dealing with some amateur astronomer on YouTube. What we're dealing with is a professional with the background and the degrees to prove it. Now, she started working very closely with Chris Potter and also, I believe, WSO. And in the course of the last month or so, she has come under heavy criticism pertaining to this SDO eclipse. And this has been in question for quite some time, and we're not going to cover this SDO eclipse. But because she wrote down her own findings in a professional research paper, this set the whole trolling community upside down. The reason being is because she found something that she thought was very odd that just didn't compute. You have to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever you decide to become a scientist or an astronomer or someone in astrophysics or physics, you know at a very early age that you have that mindset. You analyze everything. I call people like that, I refer to them as having a beautiful mind. Russell Crowe, the actor, portrayed a gentleman in a real life story about a man who had this beautiful mind. If you haven't seen it, rent it and watch it. It's called A Beautiful Mind. And without these beautiful minds within our society, going all the way back through history, Albert Einstein, Edison, Tesla, Marconi, all of these inventors, they all had a beautiful mind. We owe them everything that we have and we use today. So the point that I'm trying to make is immediately she came under attack, and a certain individual who I will definitely leave unnamed, who claims to be amateur astronomer, blah, 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 decided to take it upon himself and the trolling group that he belongs to and send an email to the university chancellor and trying to expose the research that a professional physicist was doing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, realizing one thing, a physicist investigates everything that has to do with their subject. They take things apart. They analyze them. They want answers. So therefore, what is the harm with an individual using their talents and the education that they paid for to uncover something, searching for answers. And this unnamed individual, who I know who it is, took it upon himself to create a whirlwind of trouble for this professional by sending a very rude email to the chancellor of this college. Naming her, exposing her is what they thought that they were doing. She has written over 90 research papers dealing with Planet X. Well, not really Planet X, but her observations of what she is seeing based on the material that she is analyzing. SDO footage, Secchi footage, some photographs, some videos. She's putting in a lot of hours after her lectures and her teaching at the university, because she too wants answers on what's happening around the world. And she's making what I would refer to as very professional and clinical observations. However, do you see any of these trolls producing this type of documentation? No, you do not. What you do see is them making silly parody videos and trying to disgrace the people behind these particular YouTube channels. So they try to do the same thing to her, threatening her, going directly to her employer, which is just an absolutely asinine thing to do, because you know what it did? It now opened up the eyes of an entire university. It opened up the eyes of an entire physics department, who also has the curriculum for astronomy also. So now all of her information is being reviewed, not scrutinized, but being reviewed. So these individuals are trying to block the information getting to you. You, the viewers. You, the inhabitants of this planet we call Earth. Once again, trying to cover up vital information that we're all seeking. Man, this just makes me hot. Now, I've known about this for about 2 weeks now. But little did they know that their plan to attack this poor woman and her professionalism backfired. Boom! It exploded. And next Tuesday, at approximately 2 p.m., we are going to have her live on Planet X News in a 2-hour live stream, and we're going to be talking about all of her research. And her research is going to continue. She's no longer afraid of being in the dark, standing in the shadows, because, you know, I mean, a lot of people in this subject matter that do have a professional standing in astronomy or physics or astrophysics, you know, they kind of don't want their name out there associated with this type of research. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons, ladies and gentlemen. We can all just think about what would happen to so-called whistleblowers. Well, she's not a whistleblower. She is simply a professional researching subject matter that she was trained and educated to do the research on. That's what these people do. So now we're going to continue with the help of many, many others. And the many, many others, wow, do they have academic accomplishments hanging on the wall. And all of their accomplishments are going to be directly associated with what we are researching, investigating, and trying to find the truth about. Could you imagine if somebody called your employer where you work, where you make a living for the last 17 years and blasted you and tried to get you fired? How would you feel? The point I'm trying to make is, why would someone belonging to a freaking YouTube trolling organization go to the extents to call your employer and try to get you fired by stating in the email to the chancellor that this woman is disgracing your university for doing legitimate research in science, something that you were trained to do? Let's just have a little moment of silence and think about that. It doesn't make any sense. But here's the bottom line. I don't want to say that we're in the end of days, because I kind of hate that terminology. I truly believe that our planet is under a direct threat of certain objects within our solar system. The proof is coming out each and every day, and there are individuals out there that are trying to silence this subject. They're coming after me every second of the day, trying to have all of my YouTube channels shut down. And they are not only just doing this to me, they are doing this to many, many others that are bringing out information pertaining to this subject and some other subjects. Smear campaigns. But listen, when you go to the dirty, rotten extent of trying to have someone fired after spending 17 years of teaching a career, you are a dirty, rotten piece of you-know-what. And these individuals make themselves out to be these big professionals with academic backgrounds in this subject matter. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a lie. None of these people can produce a diploma, a degree, a master's, a doctorate in this subject. But yet, you're going to watch their YouTube videos debunking videos that are giving you information on Planet X. Wow. That's like going in for brain surgery, and the supposed doctor that comes in is dressed in overalls, and he's a plumber, and he's going to operate on you. What would you do? Oh, I'd jump up and I would run as fast as I could. So now that we have professionals jumping on board, producing research, and there is research coming out every minute of the day. I have 6 articles just written in April of 2016, all based on the discovery of brown dwarf stars and the research. You have these individuals that will sit in the comment section and tell you, I know that there's no brown dwarf in the solar system because I've seen the evidence. Okay, produce the evidence and you tell me, how is it that you saw the proof that there wasn't anything in our solar system related to a brown dwarf? The only thing that you can do is make a stupid debunking video and going after someone's job. You are a sorry sack of crap. But again, ladies and gentlemen, like I've said, the only thing that did was brought to light the work of one person professionally. And now colleagues are looking at the information. Eyebrows are being raised. Eyeballs are popping out. People's brains are motoring. The gears are moving. Now it's not just some guy on YouTube showing lens flares and pictures from around the world along with some video. Their little troll operation backfired. And we're going to continue to move on. And this upcoming Tuesday, I know I've made this announcement 3 times already. I know that the announcement I made is running through the troll groups. And I want it to. Because there's not one of those people that can stand in the shoes of this lady and her accomplishments, what she's done with her own life. So anyways, the other day we were talking about some of these strange things that are being seen on the Secchi footage. Now that we've gone all the way back to about 2007, we've pretty much figured out what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some information. And we're going to review this. Just give me a second. We'll set this up. Now, this paper just came out this morning. It talks about the strange objects in Secchi images for March of 2017. So let me make sure that this is being viewed. Just give me one moment. Just hang in there with me, folks. And we're going to show you some of what's going on. Just let me share this screen with you. Okay, this report that we're going to be looking at here. So let me get this to fit the screen here real quick. And we're going to be looking at this what we call a white paper. And this is going to be going over this information pertaining to these Secchi images. Okay, just had a little bit of trouble getting that to fit to my screen so you can actually see this, because we're going to be looking at some things up close. And this paper was just written, and it states, the strange objects in Secchi images from March 2017, a physicist's thoughts, March 20th, 2017. It states that in this article, in response to a question, I analyzed Secchi images from the first half of March of 2017. Figure 1 below shows H1A images from March 7th of 2017. The objects in the image are labeled Venus, Earth, and Jupiter. The object labeled Venus is the same as the object shown in figure 2 below. Notice that the objects in both images have the exact same outline, but the image of the object in figure 2 is from March 18th of 2011. Okay, now I know that this might be a little hard for you to follow, and I'm just going to get right to the gist of all of this. There's a very high possibility that what we're viewing on the Secchi images are counterfeit. They're being manipulated. They're being skewed. It's not what is really out there. And there are several factors that prove this, and a very high possibility that we're being deceived. So if you're getting into this information with me right now, we're taking a look at Venus here, circling it with my cursor, Earth, and Jupiter. You can clearly see the date down below and the timestamp. Figure 1 states that this H1A image from March 7th, 2017 at 2:49 UTC. The objects appearing in the image are labeled Venus, Earth, and Jupiter. However, the object labeled Venus cannot, repeat, cannot be Venus. Let's move down to figure 2. Figure 2, H1A image from March 18th, 2011. The object appearing was also labeled Venus in 2011, but it cannot be Venus. Okay. So what are we looking at? And there are several factors coming to the conclusion that this object is actually not Venus. So just because you throw a few letters on this computer animated video footage and label it Venus, well, naturally everybody would think it was Venus. It states that the object shown in figure 2 produces a lens flare of itself, shown in the first image, right over here and here. There is clearly solar flaring activity on the surface of the object, as indicated by the red arrow. Only a star can produce solar flares. The object also produces a plasma loop. Here's your plasma loop, ladies and gentlemen. You see it right here. This is labeled Venus. Venus producing a massive, what would be called a CME, coronal mass ejection, that only stars can produce that effect. But yet they're wanting you to believe simply that that is Venus, and because Venus is so bright, it is producing a lens flare. Well, they love that word lens flare. My God, I think that's the only objection and rebuttal they have. Let's move back up here. It states that the fact that the plasma loop shown in the second image is very large in comparison with the size of the star that produced it suggests that this object generates a huge magnetic field for its size. We know that Venus does not generate its own magnetic field. This is therefore another factor that tells us that the object cannot be the planet Venus. So, ladies and gentlemen, fact of the matter is, the powers that be are deceiving all of us. Now, if you're wondering, if you follow my cursor, if you're wondering what this big transparent disc is, well, we're still trying to figure that out. We don't know why it's there. It's not a camera anomaly because it's now showing up in current Secchi footage. I was reviewing some of this myself yesterday. Moving down, you're seeing images from the SREM, another view, another camera, and it detects, I believe this detects certain types of light. Once again, you're seeing this object. I mean, it actually looks like something man-made. It seems to leave like an indentation, which you can clearly see. What is it? We don't exactly know. But the line that you see running through this object, it's called a Birkeland current line. It seems to run right across this spherical disk. We're still researching exactly what that is. It states that figure 3, on the top of the H1A images from March 21st, 2011, and the 23rd, The left image shows a lens flare of the brightest object in the image. The right image shows a plasma loop coming off of the same object. On the bottom of H1A SREM images from March 18th of 2011, at different timestamps, the object was labeled Venus, and it's producing CMEs, coronal mass ejections. Ladies and gentlemen, planets like Earth, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter do not produce coronal mass ejections that come from the sun. We talk about this all the time, referring to the sun. The sun is what? A star. Thank you. The two bottom images in figure 3 are SREM images, not visible light images. The SREM images are generated from the detection of high energy particles. It is not possible to have lens flares in these images. So all the objects present in these images have to be real objects. The object labeled Venus is seen to be having CMEs, coronal mass ejections, in both images. The large circle has a perfect circular and smooth outline and cannot be natural. The object is transparent and is probably a lot closer to the camera than the real objects in the image. Now, let's just zip back up here, and we're referring to this big flat disc. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, nothing in space is perfectly circular. Not even the Earth. We've had scientists come out and, you know, they've said it. One scientist stated that the Earth was shaped like a pear. I don't know where he got his degree. But anyways, let's move on. Figure 4 below shows a close-up view of the Earth. Notice that there is what seems to be a dark shadow behind the Earth. This suggests that there is an object behind or left of the Earth that does not emit light but blocks out light. The shape of the object and its curvature curving outwards and towards the blue arrow right here. We're talking about this black object right here behind Earth. It suggests that it may be behind Earth, which in turn means that it has to be a lot larger than our planet. Very interesting. What is that? What is that? Now, we already know that it kind of seems like the sun has a weird light to it. Very weird. You know, I take pictures of the sun every day. Each and every day I see something more strange than the next. This might be a little confusing to all of you because of the multiple arrows and colors, but it's trying to prove a point. And once again, we're seeing this huge flat disc, which seems to be transparent. Figure 5 of the H1A SREM images from March 16th, 2017. The yellow arrows point to the plasma ejections coming off of the star that is usually labeled as Venus. Interesting. The blue arrows point to the comet, or point to a comet. The planet to the right of the comet appears to be Jupiter. The purple arrow points to the Earth, and there it seems to be another object just to the left of Earth. Right here. This is Earth. This was a comet, I guess. It's hard to believe anything that you see on these images anymore. Let's move down further. The figure 5 above shows the H1A SREM image from March 16th, 2017. The object labeled Venus in some of these images, which now we know has to be a star. It's having plasma ejections. These are indicated by the yellow arrows. An orange arrow points to another plasma discharge on the right edge of the image. There must be an object just out of the image that is producing these ejections. Only a star can produce plasma ejections. So this unseen object must be a star, not a planet. The blue arrow points to a comet, just to the left of the Earth. The red arrow points to two objects that should not be there. They may be planets orbiting the extra star in the inner solar system. The green arrows point to round outlines that indicate that something is being hidden, or that the images are not being, the images are being doctored so that certain objects are hidden. Well, wouldn't be the first time they try to hide something. Makes you think if man even walked on the moon. Or did they film that in a studio in Hollywood? Another Hollywood production. Let's move on. The same circular outlines seen in the H1A SREM image in Figure 5 are also visible in H1A image below. These are indicated by green arrows. There is a large black outline to the left of the Earth indicated by the red arrow. This dark outline may indicate the presence of a large object either to the left or behind the Earth. Right there. It keeps appearing in multiple images. And once again, I hope you can see this. You're looking at this large disc. It seems to be transparent. Why do I say that it's transparent? Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of times whenever I'm viewing images and I want to try to make sure that what I'm looking at in photographs that are sent in by subscribers, I will invert the photographs, kind of turning them into a negative status. And then these objects of bright light, like you see here with what is supposed to be Venus, the Earth, and I don't know what these objects may be. They could be Venus, Mercury. But when I invert these photographs, the majority of the time, you can tell what is in the photograph. Well, I inverted one of these photographs because I wanted to see for my own eyes if this large object here was solid. And look what I found. There you go. Let's look at this. Same picture, just inverted. And this is the way that astronomers view photographs, what they call plates, from deep space. They take these images day after day or minute by minute, and then they analyze them to see if these objects have moved. They're looking at them in kind of an inverted status or a negative status. So why wouldn't it work for me? Well, it did. The black object that is behind the Earth, you can see it. It's showing up right there. So we know that is something. There's a big difference in the signature of what is being portrayed as Venus and the Earth. But that's really not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in where is this large disk? You can barely see the outline of this object. Barely. So if that was a solid object, it should look this way. It should be black. We're still investigating to figure out what that is. And in no way, shape, or form are we going to accept that as a camera anomaly or a lens flare. What are the other things they use? Camera refraction, reflection. Get a grip on yourself, trolls. You got to do better than that. So, once again, looking at this transparent, possibly transparent object, what is it? Why is it there? Why is it constantly appearing? What is it hiding? Mislabeling of objects would be very easy to deceive you. Very easy. So you can see the outline here, the inverted photograph, it just completely just disappears. Wonder what it is. So in conclusion, the Secchi images from the beginning of March 2017 have many anomalies in them, some of which I have already written about in length, namely that the object labeled Venus has to be a star, not a planet, and that there appears to be several small stars in close proximity to the sun. But the most interesting anomaly seems to be the possible presence of a large object to the left of the Earth, and perhaps slightly behind it. Now, the object seems to be very close to the Earth on March 7th and also on March 16th of 2017. The fact that two objects did not separate in that time is a possible indication that the object's orbit closely matches Earth's and that it must be very close to our planet. This will require further study, but if this object continues to remain close to Earth, it has to be orbiting the sun like the Earth. It has to have an orbital period closely matching Earth's, and it has to also be physically close to our planet during the first half of March 2017. These are the thoughts and the research of our lovely physicist, educated, doctor of physics. I think it's truly remarkable that her observations are definitely opening up my eyes. I've had very similar thoughts about what is going on in our solar system. Makes you wonder. It definitely makes you wonder. But all we can do at this time, ladies and gentlemen, is keep on researching, keep on pushing for the truth. It's going to be very hard. We're being attacked from every angle, trying to discredit everything that we do, everything that we say. Next Tuesday at approximately 2 p.m., we're going to have our professional come on to our live stream on Planet X News, and we're going to discuss a lot of things. This will probably not be the only appearance that she will make. Naturally, she will probably come under some criticism, some questions, and that's what we want to hear. We want to hear some questions, legitimate questions. So myself and Chris Potter and our lovely physicist, we're going to be trying to answer those questions. So if you are taking part in the live stream, the live chat will be opened. Chris will be monitoring the chat. If you have legitimate questions, you will be able to ask those questions, and we will all do our best to answer them. And I think you're going to be pretty surprised at some of the answers that you get. I hope that watching this live stream right now today has opened up your eyes to the possibilities that what's going on in the skies is a huge deception. We have objects in our solar system that do not belong there. They are creating situations for our sun. The situations that are being created for our sun are truly affecting our planet. There are agencies going as far as not reporting the actual magnitude of earthquakes to keep them all around and below a magnitude 5. But what are they going to do when they have a sudden uplift of land like what happened in New Zealand in November of 2016, where the ocean floor rose up out of the water and now is a permanent land structure on the beach? I did a video about it today because scientists finally came out, did their research, and I'm sure their minds were blown. If we see something like that, what happened in New Zealand, if we see something like that in a major city populated with millions of people, you can guarantee one thing: there is going to be a loss of life that will be unimaginable. Unimaginable. Any major city. California, I worry about. We already know about the risks in California. If something like what occurred in New Zealand happens in Los Angeles, California, Oakland, California, San Francisco, I mean, I can't even imagine it. Pieces of land rising out of the ground 9, 10, 15 feet. What do you think that's going to do to a skyscraper? It's probably going to knock it over. What do you usually find in skyscraper buildings? People. What's going to happen to those people? They're not going to make it. Just take a look back in your memory. Remember 9/11. What happened when those two buildings came down with all of those people in it? They perished. So therefore, why should we have loss of life? We shouldn't, people. We shouldn't have loss of life. We should be given the information in the right way. I spoke about this the other day. We have a space weather office in Washington, D.C. It's been there for a while. Does anybody work there? Do they actually have an address? Do they have a telephone number? Do they have a website? How come nobody is making statements, having press conferences? What the hell? They have a press conference about every other thing. Politics, Washington, D.C., world politics. But when there's a threat to humanity, forget about it. But like I've said before, the way I see it, God gave us this planet. We were supposed to take care of it. We've done a piss poor job. And now that humanity is under a pretty bad threat, once again, information is being cloaked. It's being hidden because they know that there will probably be a worldwide panic. People will panic. But if they would have started talking about this many, many moons ago, softening the blow, preparing, then maybe things would be different. These are the same people that we put in office around the world that we depend on. How could you depend on someone that's lying and deceiving you? It's just not right. And then for the people that are out there trying to investigate and research using their knowledge, their training, and their academics are being slaughtered. You have individuals out there trying to get them fired from a lifelong career that they have dedicated themselves to. I think that is just plain devilish and rotten. Those are the signs of Lucifer himself, the devil at work. You know, I had some reject send me an email yesterday. I don't even want to mention his name. He hangs out in the comment section of a lot of my YouTube videos. He sits there and talks a lot of nonsense. So I got some complaints from subscribers about him, so he was blocked. So he sends me an email yesterday trying to be my friend and asking me, "Oh, Scott, why did you block me? I didn't do anything wrong. Just some criticism. Isn't that what you want?" Well, I didn't pay any attention to the email, even though I read it. Hours later, I get a notification from one of my subscribers that keeps an eye on a few things for me around YouTube and says, "Hey, you better go check out this live stream that's being conducted right now by one of the troll groups. Look in the live chat and you'll see Mr. So-and-so." Well, sure enough, minutes later, I went to this live stream video, opened up the live chat, and boy, oh boy, who was the first one there? Saying hello to everyone like he was a family member. So I took a screenshot and I emailed it back to him. And I said, "Mr. So-and-so, you stinking idiot, this is why you're blocked from my YouTube channel. Because you're a hypocrite. You're two-faced. That's what we're dealing with. Two-faced individuals that think they know it all, and their job is to discredit and keep the real information from all of you. I haven't gotten a return email from the screenshot that I sent him showing him clearly, you've just been cold busted. What's the excuse going to be? "Oh, I subscribe to a lot of channels." Okay, well, if you're subscribing to channels that are known for this trolling, and then you're on my channel, well, that just tells me that you're kind of like a double operative, running back, kissing the feet of the senior debunkers, giving them information on what's being conducted on my YouTube channel and many others. Hey, buddy, more power to you. You don't have what it takes to stop any of us. So you just keep on keeping on, as we say. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that some of this information is opening up your eyes. We are in the foreground of the awakening, and we are starting to awake. Our eyes and our ears are starting to open. Make sure all of you stay tuned on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll have the notification up there for this live stream. And I'm sure there are preparations in the background that are being made as we speak. Let them do what they got to do, and we're going to do what we got to do. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel, Planet X News. Thank you for watching. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. March 25th, 2017. I have some information that I want to go over with you. Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. Oh, momentary lapse. Hold on there. We have some audio problems, but we're back anyways. So, I just received another report from our physicist, and some of this information to me was quite startling, even though I've seen so much in my Planet X investigations over the course of the last several years. And I've always thought that, yes, there just has to be other objects in space that are man-made, things that are not supposed to be there naturally. So I raised the question, and we started looking into what was going on, and we're viewing some of these Secchi images. And Venus keeps coming into play. Venus, Venus, Venus. Why is Venus so bright? Why is Venus producing lens flares? Why? All of these constant questions keep popping up. So we started looking into this. And before I get into that, I want to express one thing. The lady who is helping us is a professional physicist, more than 17 years of lectures and teaching, working for a major university. So we're not dealing with some amateur astronomer on YouTube. What we're dealing with is a professional with the background and the degrees to prove it. Now, she started working very closely with Chris Potter and also, I believe, WSO. And in the course of the last month or so, she has come under heavy criticism pertaining to this SDO eclipse. And this has been in question for quite some time, and we're not going to cover this SDO eclipse. But because she wrote down her own findings in a professional research paper, this set the whole trolling community upside down. The reason being is because she found something that she thought was very odd that just didn't compute. You have to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever you decide to become a scientist or an astronomer or someone in astrophysics or physics, you know at a very early age that you have that mindset. You analyze everything. I call people like that, I refer to them as having a beautiful mind. Russell Crowe, the actor, portrayed a gentleman in a real life story about a man who had this beautiful mind. If you haven't seen it, rent it and watch it. It's called A Beautiful Mind. And without these beautiful minds within our society, going all the way back through history, Albert Einstein, Edison, Tesla, Marconi, all of these inventors, they all had a beautiful mind. We owe them everything that we have and we use today. So the point that I'm trying to make is immediately she came under attack. And a certain individual who I will definitely leave unnamed, who claims to be amateur astronomer, blah, 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 decided to take it upon himself and the trolling group that he belongs to and send an email to the university chancellor and trying to expose the research that a professional physicist was doing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, realizing one thing, a physicist investigates everything that has to do with their subject. They take things apart. They analyze them. They want answers. So therefore, what is the harm with an individual using their talents and the education that they paid for to uncover something, searching for answers? And this unnamed individual, who I know who it is, took it upon himself to create a whirlwind of trouble for this professional by sending a very rude letter, email, to the chancellor of this college. Naming her, exposing her is what they thought that they were doing. She has written over 90 research papers dealing with Planet X. Well, not really Planet X, but her observations of what she is seeing based on the material that she is analyzing. SDO footage, Secchi footage, some photographs, some videos. She's putting in a lot of hours after her lectures and her teaching at the university, because she too wants answers on what's happening around the world. And she's making what I would refer to as very professional and clinical observations. However, Do you see any of these trolls producing this type of documentation? No, you do not. What you do see is them making silly parody videos and trying to disgrace the people behind these particular YouTube channels. So they try to do the same thing to her, threatening her, going directly to her employer, which is just an absolutely asinine thing to do, because you know what it did? It now opened up the eyes of an entire university. It opened up the eyes of an entire physics department, who also